Welcome back to Unlocking Inner Peace. It's me again, your companion. In the past few episodes, we've explored many important aspects on the journey to find inner peace, from identifying low notes, understanding their causes, discovering the 8 golden keys to unlock peace, the art of living less is enough, to contemplating the law of everything is always changing and decoding the mystery of the self. Perhaps after having those insights and tools, many of you have begun your practical journey and felt positive changes in your lives. However, on the path of mind training, sometimes we still encounter invisible obstacles, psychological barriers that make us feel difficult, stagnant, or even want to give up. Today, we will shine a light on the 5 most common invisible barriers, those uninvited guests that often disturb our minds, especially when we try to find stillness, concentration, or simply want to live a more meaningful life. Clearly identifying these barriers is the first and crucial step for us to find ways to overcome them, clearing the path for true peace to reign in our souls. So, are you ready to explore and confront these 5 unwelcome guests with me? Let's find out together. General introduction to the 5 invisible barriers. Before going into the details of each barrier, I want to briefly talk about them. Imagine your mind is like a bright room where you want to find peace and clarity. These 5 invisible barriers are like 5 types of veils or gateways that can appear, making that room dark, stuffy, hindering you from clearly seeing what's happening within yourself and preventing you from achieving true stillness. Those 5 barriers include craving for sensual pleasure, the constant desire for pleasant experiences through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. Ill will, aversion, the desire to punish, cause difficulty, or simply a feeling of annoyance, dissatisfaction with others or circumstances. Sloth and torpor, feelings of laziness, fatigue, lack of energy and motivation. Restlessness and worry, an unquiet mind, wandering thoughts, or regret about the past. Skeptical doubt, indecision, feelings of doubt, lack of decisiveness, uncertainty about oneself, the path, or what one is doing. These are psychological states that perhaps all of us have experienced to varying degrees. They not only hinder mind training efforts like practicing stillness, but also directly affect the quality of our daily lives, making it difficult for us to find true joy and peace. Now let's dissect each barrier one by one to understand them better. Invisible barrier number 1. Craving for sensual pleasure, the vicious cycle of bottomless desires. The first barrier we will explore together is craving for sensual pleasure. This is a very familiar guest, frequently visiting our minds. It is the craving, the desire, the unceasing search for joys, for pleasant sensations through our 5 sense doors: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. Eyes want to see beauty, attraction. We are drawn to eye-catching images, good-looking people, luxurious items, magnificent landscapes. Today's social media, with its myriad of glamorous images, further intensifies this thirst of the eyes. Example: you scroll through Instagram and see a picture of a friend who just traveled to a beautiful beach with clear blue water and fine white sand. Immediately, a craving to go there, to experience that feeling, might arise in you. Or you see an advertisement for a new smartphone with a sleek design, a super sharp camera, and you start wishing you had it, even though your current phone is still working very well. Ears want to hear melodious sounds, sweet words. We like to listen to beautiful music, compliments, interesting stories, words of praise. And we often feel uncomfortable, wanting to avoid criticism, loud, unpleasant sounds. Example: when you post a new photo on social media, you tend to constantly check how many likes, how many praiseworthy comments there are. Each compliment makes you happy, but if no one praises you, or worse, if someone criticizes, you might feel let down, sad. Nose wants to smell captivating fragrances. We are attracted to rich perfumes, the delicious smell of food, the faint scent of flowers and grass. And we often feel uncomfortable, wanting to avoid foul, unpleasant odors. Example, you walk past a bakery, and the fragrant smell of garlic butter makes it impossible for you not to stop and buy a loaf, even if you're not really hungry. Tongue wants to taste exquisite flavors. This is a very strong and common thirst. We like to eat delicious food, drink beverages that suit our taste. The food industry, with its countless new, attractive dishes and drinks, also caters to this bottomless thirst of the taste buds. Example, you've just finished dinner, feeling quite full. But when you see an advertisement for a newly launched ice cream with an attractive image, you feel a craving and want to try it immediately, despite the fact that you might feel uncomfortable from overeating. Body wants pleasant, comfortable sensations. We like the feeling of lying on a soft bed, wearing soft clothes, being in a space with a comfortable temperature, touching smooth surfaces. And we often want to avoid feelings of pain, heat, cold, itchiness, or discomfort. Example, on a weekend afternoon, instead of going out for exercise or doing useful things, you choose to lie on the sofa watching TV for hours, just because of the comfortable, pleasant feeling that sofa brings. This craving for sensual pleasure, in itself, is not entirely bad. Enjoying good things in life is a natural part of being human. However, it becomes a barrier when it becomes excessive, uncontrolled. We constantly chase new desires, never feeling enough. The joy from satisfying a sensual desire is often very short-lived, and immediately afterwards, another desire arises, leading us into an endless cycle of seeking. It distracts us from more important goals. By indulging in fleeting pleasures, we may neglect work, study, relationships, or more meaningful long-term goals. It causes disappointment, frustration when not satisfied. When we don't get what we want, or when those pleasant experiences pass, we feel let down, uncomfortable, even miserable. It can lead to negative actions. To satisfy their desires, people sometimes may do wrong things, harming themselves and others. This craving for sensual pleasure is rooted in the natural human desire for pleasure, and it is nurtured by a lack of control and indulgence in instincts before life's temptations. To overcome this barrier, we need to cultivate the ability to recognize these desires when they arise, not be unconsciously swept away by them, and practice the wanting less, knowing enough lifestyle as we discussed in Episode 5. Remember, the goal is not to completely abandon all sensual joys, but not to become slaves to them, to know how to enjoy them moderately, consciously, and not let them dominate and affect our peace and other important values in life. Invisible barrier number 2. Ill will, aversion, the smoldering fire burning away peace. The second barrier we will unveil together is ill will, aversion. This is an extremely common psychological state, and it can manifest in many different forms, from fleeting annoyances and irritability to deep-seated anger and resentment. Essentially, it is a desire to punish, to cause difficulty, or simply a feeling of dissatisfaction, displeasure with someone, something, or even with oneself. This ill will, aversion, is like a smoldering fire. If not recognized and extinguished in time, it can erupt into a large blaze, burning away the peace in our souls and damaging relationships. The origin of aversion. It often stems from our desires and expectations not being met. When reality doesn't unfold as we wish, we feel disappointed, and if that disappointment is not handled correctly, it easily transforms into aversion and irritation. Example, you want your children to always be obedient and study well. When your child disobeys or their academic results are not as expected, you may feel dissatisfied, angry with your child. Or you expect colleagues to always cooperate and support you. When they don't, you feel annoyed, irritated. From aversion to anger. When aversion is not relieved, it can accumulate and escalate into anger. The mood becomes irritable, cranky, and we are prone to saying or doing things that hurt others. Example, someone constantly encounters unfortunate events at work, scolded by the boss, failed projects, uncooperative colleagues. The suppressed aversion makes that person very easily angered. Just a small displeasing thing at home, e.g., a child spills a glass of water, and that person might shout loudly. A toxin for the mind and body. Wise masters consider anger and hatred as a very strong toxin, capable of destroying both the mind and body. When we are angry, the body releases stress hormones, the heart beats faster, blood pressure rises, which in the long run can lead to many health problems. Mentally, anger makes our minds dark, heavy, losing clarity and the ability to love. Part of the troublesome trio, as we discussed in Episode 2, anger, ill will, along with greed and delusion forms the troublesome trio, the main roots causing all human afflictions and negative actions. They make this soil of our mind barren, making it difficult to sow seeds of peace and happiness. How to resolve this barrier of ill will, aversion? Early recognition. Practice observing to recognize the first signs of aversion when they just arise in your mind. Don't wait until it erupts into anger to try to deal with it. Understand the cause. When feeling annoyed, ask yourself, what is really making me dissatisfied? Are my expectations unrealistic? Am I misunderstanding something? Learn to accept what cannot be changed. There are things in life beyond our control. Trying to resist or get upset about them only makes us more tired. Learn to accept and find ways to adapt. Cultivate empathy and compassion. Try to put yourself in others' shoes to better understand their actions. When we have empathy, anger will have less chance to arise. Nurture love, wishing well for everyone, including those who have displeased us. Practice relaxation techniques. When feeling stressed, irritated, try deep breathing, taking a walk, listening to gentle music, or doing anything that helps you feel calm again. Overcoming the barrier of ill will, aversion doesn't mean we become people who never feel sad or angry. It means we are no longer controlled by those emotions, not letting them dictate our actions and affect our inner peace. We learn to face them wisely and transform them into more positive energies. Invisible barrier number 3, sloth and torpor, the invisible prison of the mind. The third uninvited guest, we will explore a barrier that perhaps many of us frequently face, is sloth and torpor. This is a psychological state characterized by laziness, fatigue, lack of energy, lack of motivation, and a feeling of sleepiness, dreaminess even when we are not actually sleep-deprived. This sloth and torpor is like an invisible prison, confining our minds in a state of heaviness, lethargy, making it difficult for us to concentrate effectively on anything, and seriously hindering efforts for self-improvement or pursuing meaningful goals. A state of half awake, half asleep. When dominated by sloth and torpor, our mind is not truly alert, clear, but also not completely sunk into sleep. It's in a drowsy, hazy state, making us feel that our head is heavy, thinking is difficult, and decision-making is hard. Example: you sit at your desk, trying to focus on an important task, but your mind is blank, your eyes keep drooping, your body feels weary, and you don't want to do anything. Even if you had enough sleep last night, the feeling of lethargy persists. Lack of willpower, loss of direction. Sloth and torpor often accompany a lack of willpower, a loss of motivation and clear direction in life. Without a specific goal, a strong enough reason to push forward, we easily fall into a state of letting go, of indifference. Example: someone feels bored with their current job but lacks the willpower to seek a new opportunity or learn a new skill to make a change. They just drag through a monotonous, boring life, day after day, without any progress. Seriously affects mind training and self-improvement. This is one of the biggest enemies for those trying to practice mind quieting, learn new things, or pursue personal development goals. When the mind is sluggish, it's very difficult to concentrate, very difficult to maintain perseverance, and easy to feel discouraged and give up. Example: you resolve to practice mind quieting for 15 minutes every day. But after just a few days, the feeling of lethargy, of sleepiness returns, making you feel that sitting still is very difficult, boring, and you find excuses to procrastinate or skip it. The causes of sloth and torpor can be numerous. Physical: lack of sleep, immoderate eating, lack of exercise, or some underlying health issues. Mental, prolonged stress, feeling overwhelmed, lack of joy and interest in life, or no clear goals. Habitual, a passive lifestyle, lazy thinking, or procrastination. How to escape the prison of sloth and torpor. Take care of physical health. Ensure enough sleep, eat a healthy and balanced diet, and exercise regularly. Good physical health is an important foundation for a clear, energetic mind. Set clear, meaningful goals. When you have a specific goal, a why that is big enough, you will have more motivation to overcome laziness. Break down large goals into small, achievable steps so you don't feel overwhelmed. Cultivate self-discipline. Start with small things. Try to complete them every day, even when you don't feel like it. Gradually, you will build self-discipline and willpower. Seek inspiration. Read books. Listen to inspiring stories. Connect with positive, energetic people. Maintain mental purity. Limit exposure to negative information, unhealthy habits that can make your mind heavy and dark. Focus on positive things. Nurture gratitude and optimism. Practice mindfulness of the present. When you focus on what you are doing in the present, instead of letting your mind wander, you will feel less tired and work more effectively. Overcoming the barrier of sloth and torpor requires conscious effort and perseverance. But when you succeed, you will unleash a great source of energy within you, helping you live a more proactive, energetic, and meaningful life. Invisible barrier number 4, restlessness and worry, when the mind won't stop jumping around. The fourth guest on our list of invisible barriers, a guest that also visits frequently and causes considerable trouble, is restlessness and worry. This is a psychological state characterized by unease, lack of calm, the mind constantly jumping from one thought to another, unable to focus on anything for too long, accompanied by feelings of anxiety, regret, or rumination about things past or things yet to come. This restlessness and worry keeps our body and mind in a constant state of agitation, of turmoil, unable to find any stillness or peace. It is one of the biggest obstacles to practicing mind quieting and achieving deep concentration. Mind in constant agitation, when dominated by restlessness and worry. Our mind is like a monkey ceaselessly jumping from branch to branch. It cannot dwell in the present, but constantly wanders, rambling from one object to another, from one thought to another. Example: you are trying to read a book, but after just a few lines, your mind jumps to thinking about unanswered work emails, then worries about an important appointment tomorrow, then remembers an unpleasant event that happened last week, and so on. You can't focus on the content of the book at all. Hinders stillness and concentration. Clearly, with a mind always jumping around like that, achieving deep stillness or high concentration is extremely difficult. It's like trying to make the surface of a lake calm while stones are continuously being thrown into it, often accompanied by regret or fear. Regret about the past, worrying about things done or not done. If only I hadn't said that back then. Why did I miss that opportunity? I regret hurting that person. Ruminating thoughts about past mistakes and shortcomings keep the mind unquiet. Worry about the future, fearing things that haven't happened. Will I be able to complete this task? What if I fail? What will happen if I don't achieve that goal? Fears, negative scenarios about the future keep the mind in a constant state of tension and unease. The causes of restlessness and worry can be diverse. Pressure, stress from life, work, studies, relationships, finances. Habit of overthinking, unnecessary worrying. Lack of self-confidence, fear of failure. Unresolved past traumas, regrets. An unbalanced lifestyle, lack of rest and relaxation. How to deal with this barrier of restlessness and worry. Practice mindfulness of the present. This is an incredibly effective remedy. When you bring your attention back to your breath, to what is happening right in this moment, the mind will have less opportunity to wander to the past or future. Exercise regularly. Physical activity helps release excess energy, reduce stress, and brings a sense of relaxation to both body and mind. Write down your worries, thoughts. Writing down what is making you restless can help you see them more clearly, and sometimes Just the act of writing can help you feel lighter. Share with a trusted person. Sometimes, talking about your worries with an understanding friend or a psychological counselor can help you receive support and new perspectives. Learn to accept imperfection and forgive yourself. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has regrets. Learn to forgive yourself and others for past mistakes, and accept that no one is perfect. Patience and continuous effort. Calming a restless mind requires patience and regular practice. Don't be discouraged if you find it difficult at first. Just keep trying, and you will see progress. When we learn to master restlessness and worry, our minds will become calmer, clearer, and we will be able to live a fuller life in every moment. Invisible barrier number 5, skeptical doubt, indecision, the fog obscuring faith and decisiveness. And finally, the 5th guest, a barrier that is also quite common and can cause many obstacles on the path of self-development, is skeptical doubt, indecision. This is a psychological state characterized by doubt, uncertainty, lack of decisiveness, which can be doubt about one's own abilities, doubt about the path one is on, doubt about the meaning of what one is doing, or even doubt about fundamental values and beliefs. Skeptical doubt, indecision, is like a thick fog, obscuring our vision, making it difficult for us to see the path ahead clearly, diminishing faith and the ability to act strongly and decisively. The nature of doubt. Doubt, in itself, is not entirely good or bad. A little doubt can be necessary so that we don't blindly believe everything, so that we consider and analyze more carefully before making decisions. However, when doubt becomes excessive, it becomes a barrier. Negative effects of excessive doubt. Clouds judgment. When dominated by doubt, we find it hard to make wise decisions because we always feel uncertain, afraid of making mistakes. Hinders action. Can I do it? What if I fail? Is this really worth doing? These doubtful questions can make us hesitate, waver, not dare to start acting, or give up halfway. Causes great unease, anxiety. Constant uncertainty, indecision keeps our minds in a state of unease, unable to find stability and peace. Diminishes faith in oneself and in life. When we doubt everything, we gradually lose faith in ourselves, in those around us, and even in the good values of life. The causes of skeptical doubt, indecision, can come from many sources. Lack of information, lack of clear understanding of an issue, past experiences of failure, traumas that have caused us to lose faith, negative beliefs, self-imposed limitations, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve it, lack of self-confidence, fear of risk, fear of change, influence from surrounding people or negative information. How to overcome the fog of skeptical doubt, indecision? Seek clear understanding. If your doubt stems from a lack of information, proactively research, study, and ask experienced people to get a fuller, more objective view of the issue. Build and strengthen faith. Faith in oneself. Look back at your past successes, the difficulties you've overcome, to remind yourself of your abilities, your strengths. Set small, achievable goals, and try to complete them to gradually rebuild self-confidence. Faith in the path you've chosen. If it's a right path, if you are on a path you believe will bring good values, e.g., the path of self-cultivation, pursuing the 8 golden keys we've discussed, be steadfast with it, even when facing difficulties or doubts. Seek support from like-minded people. Learn to accept uncertainty. Life inherently has many uncertainties. Instead of trying to control everything, learn to accept that there are things we cannot know in advance, and focus on doing your best with what you can in the present. Dare to try and accept mistakes. Sometimes, the best way to overcome doubt is to dare to act, dare to experiment. Even if there are failures, they are valuable lessons that help you grow. Don't let the fear of mistakes paralyze you. Seek support from positive, faithful people. Share your doubts with trusted friends, people who can offer advice, encouragement, and help you reinforce your faith. Overcoming skeptical doubt, indecision, doesn't mean we become blindly credulous. It means we develop an intelligent faith, a decisiveness based on clear understanding, and the courage to act, even when nothing is 100% guaranteed. When the fog of doubt clears, we will see the path ahead more clearly and take steadier steps on our journey. Cleaning the garden of the mind, the path to overcoming the 5 barriers. So, we have illuminated quite thoroughly the 5 invisible barriers that often hinder us on the path to finding peace. Craving for sensual pleasure, ill will, aversion, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry, and skeptical doubt, indecision. Identifying these uninvited guests, understanding their nature and negative impacts, is the first and crucial step for us to begin the process of cleaning the garden of our mind. So, what is the specific path to overcome these 5 barriers? Actually, the keys to dealing with them are not unfamiliar. They are precisely what we explored together in the 8 golden keys to unlock inner peace in episode 4, as well as the practices in other episodes. 4. Craving for sensual pleasure. Practice wanting less, knowing enough. Episode 5. Learn to moderate unnecessary desires. Find contentment in simple things. Cultivate mindfulness of the present. Key number 7. To be able to fully enjoy sensual experiences without being carried away, without clinging. Develop clear insight. Key number 1. To see the impermanence, the unsustainability of sensual joys, thereby reducing dependence on them. For ill will, aversion. Nurture constructive thinking. Key number 2. Especially thoughts directed towards kindness, empathy, and forgiveness. Practice wise words, kind intentions. Key number 3. And benevolent actions. Key number 4. To create positive interactions, minimizing conflicts. Develop clear insight into the law of everything is always changing. Episode 6. And no fixed self. Episode 7. To reduce attachment to one's expectations and lessen the feeling of a hurt ego. For sloth and torpor. Apply wise effort. Key number 6. Set clear goals, break down tasks, and persevere in daily execution. Take care of physical health through benevolent actions, moderate eating, sufficient sleep, exercise. Seek inspiration, connect with positive people, and practice mindfulness of the present to enhance concentration and energy. For restlessness and worry. Mindfulness of the present is an incredibly effective tool to bring the mind back to reality, reducing wandering to the past or future. Concentration of mind. Key number 8. Through the practice of mind quieting will help calm the turbulent waves of the mind. Clear insight into change and the absence of a fixed self also helps reduce unnecessary fears and regrets. For skeptical doubt, indecision. Strengthen clear insight by learning, studying, and deep contemplation. Build faith in oneself and in the right path through practicing wise effort and seeing positive results, however small. Benevolent actions and right livelihood. Key number 5. Also help us feel that life is more meaningful, thereby reducing doubts about the purpose of life. You see, these 5 barriers, though they may seem daunting, are not invincible. By identifying them clearly, understanding their causes and harmful effects, and persistently applying the golden keys we have learned, we can absolutely, step by step, weaken them, overcome them, and clear the way for peace, clarity, and true joy to reign in our souls. This is a continuous journey, a ceaseless cleaning process. But every time you succeed in identifying and not being swept away by one of these barriers, that is a small victory, an important step forward on the path towards the haven of peace. So, we have explored in quite detail the 5 invisible barriers that often hinder us on our journey to find peace, as well as suggested ways to identify and overcome them. I hope that the sharings in this episode 8 will give you more confidence and useful tools to clean the garden of your mind, to make it cleaner and clearer each day. Remember, these barriers are a natural part of the human experience. What matters is not that we never encounter them, but whether we recognize them and how we choose to react to them. Thank you for taking the time to listen. If you find this content valuable, please don't hesitate to like, share with your friends and family, and subscribe to the Unlocking Inner Peace channel so we can continue to journey together in future episodes. exploring more secrets to a more meaningful and peaceful life. Wishing you a new week full of positive energy, always alert to recognize the uninvited guests in your mind and strong enough not to be led by them. See you in the next podcast episodes. Goodbye.